According to new research, breakfast, which is typically referred to as the most essential meal of the day, is especially vital if you have type 2 diabetes. Or is it? I am Dr. Ahmet Ergin. I'm an endocrinologist with 10 years of experience treating diabetes or people with diabetes. Remember, it is almost never true if someone tells you one answer will fit everyone. So today we will be talking about advantages and disadvantages of skipping breakfast, especially if you have diabetes. Studies indicate that skipping breakfast is related to considerable rise in all-day blood sugar surges in our research of type 2 diabetes patients. Is that really true? This is what we see in practice and what the researchers say. Well, how about you? Your personal experience may be different, right? Please put in the comment, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your story. I see in my practice typically that skipping breakfast raises the blood sugar levels after lunch and after dinner in many patients. So those patients who skip breakfast tend to have higher blood sugars after breakfast and lunch. In one study, when men and women skipped breakfast, their blood sugar levels were 37% higher, actually, confirming my findings, at noon and 27% higher at dinner time than compared to the times when they ate breakfast. Now, don't get me wrong here. I am not talking about eating cereal or a big bowl of oatmeal or a bread and butter kind of breakfast. That's not the breakfast I'm talking about. I am talking about the breakfast high in protein and healthy fats. For example, like a 1 egg, 2 slices of cheese, some turkey bacon maybe, or even some Greek yogurt, etc. If you have time, you can make an egg frittata with some vegetables, sauteed in extra virgin olive oil, and a slice of maybe a whole grain toast or a pumpernickel bread if you are in love with bread. Now, you can have small cup of fruits instead of the bread, of course, if you like to add some sweetness to your breakfast a little. But as long as you are not indulging in more than 30 grams of carbs at your breakfast, actually having the breakfast in that way can stabilize your blood sugars in the morning. Most medications or supplements are also either taken before a meal or with a meal. So if you are delaying your breakfast or skipping it, you are basically skipping your medications or supplements as well, right? Also, when you have a high protein breakfast, your cortisol and adrenaline response that typically naturally happens in the mornings, it goes down. It is much better. We talked about that in another video in detail. You can see right here why your blood sugars are actually going higher when you wake up. But you can watch that video right after this one if you like. And to find that video, all you have to do, or to find anything about our videos, just put the magical word in there, SugarMD, and then just put the words, whatever you're searching for it, in YouTube or Google, and you will find something about it. Now, back to our topic. Let's say you are following an intermittent fasting regimen, and you are comfortable with skipping breakfast, and your blood sugar stays stable during the fasting period. Now, how do you know that? Yeah, you have to measure your blood sugars, right? Just to see what's going on at that time if you're skipping breakfast. Then everything I have just said will not apply to you. Sorry about that, but not everybody is like that, right? So most people are in the first category that I talked about. Remember, breakfast mean breaking fast. It does not mean eating in the morning, right? So if it was, you can wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, eat and go to bed and call it breakfast, right? Well, you can break your fast later at noon or in the afternoon or even in the evening if you want to fast all day long. If you can, right? Not everybody can. As long as your blood sugar stays stable and you do not have to take a medication to keep your blood sugar stable while you're fasting, you're all good. All you have to do is to monitor your blood sugars and know what's going on during the day with your blood sugar and pay attention to the patterns. Is your blood sugar better on the day you skip breakfast? Or is it better on the days you actually eat a high protein breakfast and take your medication, for example, or supplement? Also, some diabetic patients can still fast a long time as long as their meds are adjusted correctly if they are on medications to prevent a low blood sugar, right? Because some medications can cause a low blood sugar. Bottom line, if you skip breakfast and eat like a horse at lunch or dinner, you're looking for trouble. Plus, in real life, when people skip their medication or supplement early in the morning, they are more likely to miss it at lunchtime again because they forget. They are not going to pick it up and pack it with them, and they're going to end up forgetting anyways. So having a habit of taking your medication or supplement can actually help for not only breakfast but also for lunch as well to remember. Now, what does the science say, the studies? Let's look into that a little bit more. Now, the controlled studies in people who regularly skip breakfast have discovered that the skipping breakfast, especially the one high in protein, often leads to what? You would tell me, right? So if you're used to having breakfast and skipping it this time, you will have increased hunger, decreased sensation of fullness, and higher food consumption later in the day. Now, skipping breakfast is also linked to significantly higher blood sugar levels in people with type 2 diabetes in general. So when you look at those people who skip breakfast and type 2 diabetes, they tend to have higher blood sugars. But eating a larger breakfast with a smaller dinner has been linked to considerable reduction in blood sugar levels throughout the day. Again, this is the studies looking at the general population. You may be different, but I'm talking about the general studies and population. Surprisingly, a study in 2014 found that missing breakfast had no influence on weight loss in overweight but otherwise healthy adults, right? Because if you're skipping breakfast but then eating, pick it out at lunch is not really going to help you. It's possible that eating breakfast is merely a marker for other healthy habits. Those like people who eat breakfast are generally more health conscious because they know or they think breakfast is better, so it may be associated with that. And then having breakfast may not have any long-term effects at all. But like I said, if you're diabetic, your story is different. Then just pay attention to what I'm saying here. Now, on the other hand, a number of well-conducted, and not every study is the same, right? Some well-conducted short-term studies suggest that skipping breakfast can actually have a real negative impact on the blood sugar metabolism, like how your body uses blood sugar, how your body metabolizes the blood sugar. And that could be associated with increased diabetes risk if you do not have diabetes, like if you have prediabetes, for example. Now, losing weight should not be your entire goal, by the way, right? So we said that, skipping breakfast may not necessarily help you lose weight. In some cases it may, but weight loss is not your only goal here. Now, the reason I say that, because there are a number of other health risks to be aware of. Now, guess what? Breakfast skippers have 2.5-fold higher risk of heart attack and strokes than the non-skippers, according to a cross-sectional study that was done not too long ago. In addition, a review of long-term research, like meta-analysis and so forth, found that skipping breakfast increases the risk of diabetes by 21% if you're not diabetic already. Also, eating breakfast may have something to do, that's important, something to do with your internal clock. Now, circadian rhythm is the body's intrinsic clock, right? Intrinsic clock. This is the sleep-wake cycle and how our body responds to the day's light and the darkness, right? So hormones linked to your circadian cycle are linked to appetite and eating. That's why you tend to be more hungry as the day goes by the evening and so forth. But when you eat, actually affect that internal clock. Now, if you're eating late at night, for example, can interrupt this cycle and can cause overnight blood sugar spikes. The rise in morning body temperature was also delayed in breakfast skippers after 6 days. Now, skipping breakfast also changed the gene expression related to internal clocks and glucose metabolism. So, these changes in your circadian rhythm may have long-term consequences. A circadian diet restricts the food consumption to only daytime hours. So, this eating style is similar to time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting, right? In other words, so if you're fasting or doing intermittent fasting, you should be fasting most of the time in the evening, in the dark hours. That's the time that you should not be having a full stomach. Now, some people, by skipping breakfast, they may have adjusted their circadian rhythm to suit their needs if they have been doing this for a long time, but that shift can still cause metabolic abnormalities. Now, while it is not 100% proven if breakfast is more vital than the other meals, but having breakfast is better than not having one. So, like any meal, the quality also matters. Breakfast of a cardboard-like cereal are not the type of breakfast we are talking about again. It is far preferable to start the day with protein-rich foods such as eggs, peanut butter, yogurt, and fruit, etc. Now, fruit is carb, but most of the other things that I talked about is mostly protein, right? So no bagels, no breads, no pastries, etc. So that's the key. Now, bottom line, if you are going to skip a meal, let it be your dinner. And I know that's hard, but that's the healthiest way to go. And skip your after dinner snacks at least. It's not a wise idea to say that I'm intermittent fasting when you are eating a bunch of junk and going to bed with a full stomach, and skip the breakfast and call yourself a hero and saying that I'm intermittent fasting because I'm skipping breakfast. Well, that may not be to your favor. It won't work that way. Now, we pretty much came to the end of this video, guys, so thanks for watching. And I think having breakfast is important, especially if you're diabetic, especially if you're taking medications. But some of you may skip breakfast, especially if you're doing long-term, fasting. If you're skipping dinner and you can skip breakfast as well, maybe just eat lunch. I think that would be the best case scenario if you're not on special medications that can drop your blood sugars, or if you talk to your doctor and the doctor adjusted your medications to allow you to intermittent fast, if that's your goal. But if not, I would stick to the breakfast, skip to the medications and supplements that you take to make sure that you create that routine, and having a healthy breakfast definitely will prevent the spikes after lunch and dinner. So, thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up, share, and like. And if you haven't done already so, please subscribe. We will see you in the next video. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this channel so far, and I hope you subscribed already. If you didn't, do it. And if you did, watch this video right there. I think that will help you too.